The early 1970s were known as a season of growth, expansion, and community involvement for the first time as Northview Baptist Church. This included many new members, a new sanctuary, great softball teams, and a pastor who was passionate about community action. After a short season with R.K. Thompson as interim pastor, Sam Newell and his wife Evelyn came as the new pastor in June of 1971. Sam and his family came to the DFW area to complete his seminary training, but he also fully embraced the life and ministry of Northview. He was passionate about Northview, but also had a desire to connect in the community at the same time. Sam served as chairman of a community action committee, hosted revivals, started a softball team, wrote articles for the newspaper, and was very vocal throughout the community concerning Christian views on social issues. That same year, the church family had plans to build a new sanctuary. The new building was built by the families in the church and opened in August of 1972. The original pulpit and deacon pew, along with the piano and organ from that year, are currently on display in our atrium. The Oak Ridge Park neighborhood was filled with community leaders, business leaders, and young families. These were the newer homes in town. As far as churches, First Baptist, First Methodist, and First Presbyterian, who were all downtown, would soon all relocate to the west side of I-35. Lakeland Baptist was also a growing presence on the west side. Northview began making an impact locally as never before, and the new sanctuary was beginning to become filled with new families. On a personal note, it was in 1974 that my family first attended Northview, and it was Pastor Sam Newell who led me as a 12-year-old sixth grader to Jesus and baptized me 50 years ago. Johnny and Susie Wood taught both Teresa Chapman Wells and me during those formative years. In 1975, Sam Newell resigned to become a mission church starter across the north and west portions of America. Since that time, Sam was instrumental in planting over 10 new mission churches until his passing. Ewell Lawson, Monty Lawson's grandfather, was called as interim pastor. Ewell was the perfect interim pastor during this time of change at Northview. He had a love for people, he had a love for God, and for sharing Christ. He served in that capacity until April 1976. Yet again, Northview was to be home to another seminary student pastor family. Bob and Carolyn Witt moved to the church parsonage on Ferguson Street to begin his pastorate in the spring of 1976. Coming from Oklahoma, they were young with a young family. Mike and Brenda Whitty were leading music and youth until 1978. It was also in 1978 that Bob Witt offered me my first paid church staff position as music and youth director. I was 16 with no experience. He must have seen something I could not see. I was dating Cher Cox at that time. The dating ended up being a long-term relationship after all. We both served until the end of my senior year in high school in 1980. The church was going through some challenges. Some families left, but a core group of families remained and kept pressing forward. There was a bank loan on the sanctuary with concern it may have to be foreclosed. In 1979, using our available extra space, we supported a Spanish-speaking mission church under the leadership of Pastor Fernando Gonzalez. Bob Witt completed his seminary work and moved back to Oklahoma in the late fall of 1980. All in all, God's sovereign leading was always faithful as He prepared Northview for a new season in ministry. We had the buildings, we had a solid core of committed members, we had a noticeable presence of ministry in Lewisville. Now it would be time for God to save, develop, and send a local young man of God with a firm foundation, a love for Lewisville, and a heart for a lifetime of commitment to lead and pastor Northview Baptist Church for the decades to come. God's plan culminated in February of 1981, over 43 years ago. God has never wavered. God is faithful. God is true. His ways are steadfast. This is going to be good. Hang on.